right, what's going on, everybody? Is I, the Bearded Wolverine, your Michigan Wonder. We're back with PREDCAST episode 29, I think it is. 29. I don't know why I put 28 in the title. Let me switch that real quick. I have no clue why I did that. I even double checked. So, 29, episode 29. But we got a small cast, still a good cast here today. All right, and before we go over who's here, let's go over what the show is. All right, on the PREDCAST, we like to go over the game Predecessor and give our thoughts and views on what's going on currently with the game, what's coming up with the game, and give some pointers to the developers or the community to help the game grow. All right, that's a great spot for this, and you can watch that either live if you're watching it live now here on my channel on Twitch, the Bearded Wolverine, or you can watch it later on YouTube on Winduthemace's YouTube channel. But without further ado, let's introduce our guest that we have here today. Exclusive, go ahead and introduce yourself to the community and what's going on.
Hello, I'm Exclusive. I am a streamer on Twitch. I stream Predecessor 6 days a week, make videos for it on YouTube. I occupy a lot of the late night, early morning hours. So if you're not up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you maybe have not popped in before, but I've been a really big fan of Predecessor. I played OG Paragon back in the day. So this is my first MOBA, but I love it. So I've been playing it a lot for the last couple of months, and yeah, happy to be here.
All right. You said OG Paragon, so a med kit is the first one that's going to ask you normally. He would ask you your favorite hero that you love to play as, or your least favorite hero to go against.
In OG Paragon?
OG Paragon, yep.
Oh boy. I'm a Murdoch fan through and through.
Yes.
Even on Predecessor, I've got like almost 500 games on him.
Okay.
So he's my most played for sure. So Murdoch's usually my go-to. Who I hate playing against. Funny, given the current circumstance, but honestly, I'd say Greystone or Shinbi have been my two. They're just so hard to get off you. They're so frustrating to.
All right.
And they're like deceptively, well, Greystone's not deceptively tanky. You would expect them to be pretty tanky.
Yeah.
Shinbi, for the size of her character is deceptively very tanky. So
that's for sure. Okay. All right. Now, speaking of Murdoch, let's just jump right into that. I've recently become an off lane main, but before that I was an ADC main, and my favorite hero still in the game, even though I'm an off lane main, my favorite hero is Murdoch. So I agree with you with that. Like that's my favorite hero. But I've recently been able to play him with these new changes with this recent patch, and that change to his E, that 30% movement speed you get off of it instead of having the healing. I personally love it. What are your thoughts on that?
I love it. I love it. Some people were worried about like the lack of slow resistance that you are going to lose by them changing it, but I love it. I mean, if people don't really expect it, it's kind of the same. It lets you put the same pressure on people that like Kira at the moment is able to do, because she has her dash, so she can kind of engage in really quickly, and all of a sudden you're in, you think you've put enough space and you're okay, and then she dashes in and you're not anymore. And Murdoch is kind of in the same boat now, where he can kind of just hit the gas, and all of a sudden you're in a lot of trouble and you didn't really know. So I think it's a lot of fun.
Yes. It brings in, to me, the way I said it to a couple friends is it brings in his old passive, the wee woo passive, and it just kind of makes it an active, and so it gives you that chase down ability, but also you can use it now, not just as a chase down, you can use it now to escape. Like, all right, hey, I need to get out or whatever. I need a little bit, let me make a gap here between me and the other person. And I love it. I played a game last night with JPI. JPI was my jungler, and it just happened to be, I was solo queue, jumped in, JPI was jungler, and I messaged him in the draft chat, and I went 9-0-3. I was like, oh man, I just loved it. I had a good time. I had a steal that was my support. He was making great engagements. JPI was coming over making great engagements, and I was just capitalizing. I'm like, this is awesome. Like I love it. I don't know. I think it was a great way, again, like I said, to take his old passive and make it something more of a active with an ability. So it works for me.
Is pretty versatile. Like he's got the traps and a knockback to kind of get people off of him, and now he's got get out of jail free button very quickly. You can just kind of cruise at Mach 10. So it's a cool addition to his kit for sure.
Yes. Shadow Cage. That Steel was a goat. That Steel played a great game. So I love the changes in Murdoch. It's not enough to make me become an ADC main again, but it's definitely enough for me to want to dabble back over there once in a while and see how it goes.
What brought you to offlane? That seems like a very big shift.
So, all right, when I first started playing Paragon, it was Murdoch. Murdoch was my go-to guy. That's what I was like. That's who I played. So I forced myself to be an ADC main because I wanted a ranged attack. I didn't understand the game enough to be able to be the guy just run in there and just start melee attacking and be too close range. I wanted to attack from a distance and be able to escape when I can escape, right? That was my whole thing. And I was all right, let's do this. And that's what I did playing Paragon. Then Paragon got shut down. I jumped into some other games and I've got into Default. I wanted to play ADC, but it didn't feel right until like patch 13. When patch 13 came out with Fault, then it's like ADC. That's when ADC felt good. So I became ADC main again on Fault. Loved it. Came to Pred, ADC main, and I'm doing good. I was getting better. I was always a bronzy, like I just sat there bronze elo forever, no matter what I did, couldn't get out of it. But here I am. I'm playing well. I'm doing well. I'm winning games. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, but I'm not getting better. I was like, what am I doing? Yeah. So my whole goal was to like start playing every other role and learn them to hopefully get better at ADC. Because if I know the game better, then I can be better at my one role that I enjoy. Yeah. And I switched over to offlane, and a few of my viewers jumped in and were letting me know, hey, no, because I was playing offlane, like minion, the laning phase. I was playing it like an ADC. I was like sitting slowly. There's Joey. I was playing it slowly. I was like trying to like freeze the lane towards my tower, and they're like, no, you got to be a bully. You got to get in there and just start attacking, because I was playing Grux. So it was like a switch in my mind, and I flipped that switch in my mind, and I love it. I fell in love with offlane. I'm like, this is where I'm at. And I got my boy Joey here giving me some pointers, give me VOD reviews. I got Zygor giving me some VOD reviews, and I've just soared. And I've done so much better. I'm gold 1 right now according to Omega.City. Like, I couldn't get out of bronze no matter what game I played, and here I am now. I'm climbing. So I loved it. So that's just where I am. Joey, let's give you a second to introduce yourself, and then we'll jump right back into it.
Sounds good. So yeah, this is Joe Shirley back on the podcast. I do daily Predecessor content on YouTube, and I've been doing some more off meta, kind of really fun builds. So I have 2 of them that's kind of spicy that you guys are gonna really enjoy if you guys have been following my channel for a while.
Yes, I'm excited. I want to see your Drongo build. That one you just posted. Was that today? I think it went live. The Drongo one. Yeah, I want to see that one. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, so I'm excited to watch that one. So real quick, Joey, I'll catch you up real quick. We just kind of went over exclusive his what he did in OG, his favorite hero, which is Murdoch. Least favorite hero to go against is either Greystone or Shinbi. And then we jumped in. We talked about Murdoch's kit. Have you played Murdoch yet in the new patch yet, Joey?
I've just a little bit. I haven't really like gone super deep into it for the most part. I've been like doing some other stuff. I just know that the biggest change, of course, was the stem pack. So now it's a big movement speed buff. It's not gonna give you like health or whatnot, and it's not gonna be as long. So you're just using it to quickly reposition or escape kind of thing.
Correct. Yes, like the way I was saying it, and this is what I said, was it kind of brought his old Paragon passive and it brought it into an active. And that's what I liked about it. It gives you that chase down ability. So that's what we talked about. And then I was telling my story about how I became an offlane main. And then here you are. So you're all caught up. Now, speaking of main though, I want to know, what is your role main exclusive?
I'm a carry.
You're a carry main? All right.
Yeah, I always have been. I grew up playing Call of Duty and Counter-Strike, and I played a little bit of professional Rainbow Six Siege for a little while, so I'm like entirely into just carry. I'm gonna kill everything on the map, and we're gonna win in 20 minutes, sort of thing. So, yeah, I've been a carry main since Paragon.
That explains why you got really good aim. Because I played Siege for a little bit. It's not an easy game. It's like I don't know if it's a casual game you can call it. It's very like hard to get into when I first tried it. And I'm like a huge shooter guy back in the day. So definitely props to you, man.
Yeah, it's definitely you're very rewarded for like your mechanical skill in that game for sure. And that, yeah, it's like I had like 3,000 hours in Counter-Strike before I played it, so that helped a lot. But yeah, I play carry and Predecessor mainly, but I kind of dabble around with most things. My least favorite role to play is definitely offlane. That's why I was asking you your
why
in the world.
Why is that your least though?
You went from controlling the game to, you know, I just feel so alone over there. I'm like I'm on my own little island.
I need you to watch my streams more often. I'm telling you, there's no such thing as alone when I'm playing offlane. I don't know what it is. I literally cannot be that big of a name of a streamer because I just can't be. That I just like people recognize my name and they like flood over in the offlane. That's I don't know. I get the enemy junglers that just they want to babysit the enemy offlaner. I get the mids that just rotate nonstop to the offlane. I'm like, well, I get those are things that happen, but they don't happen as often in any other game that I watch. Why is it this game like when I'm playing it just here we go, let's go babysit. I don't understand it, but yeah, it happens a lot.
The reason is just because of the map size and rotations. You're not like it's not a huge commitment to kind of hover or gank the side lanes right now. So that's kind of like the one big thing why people are saying we need like a map rework, because you don't think about rotations, just grab river buff and be like, okay, I think they push up a little bit, let's go gank the lane, right? Whereas like League of Legends, it's like without boots or whatever, and the first 10 minutes you have to like really commit to a run, because I think it was like a solid minute to like go to like one the top or bottom, gank, and then come back to mid. It's like it takes a long time to do rotations in that game.
All right, we're gonna go.
You only lose like one minion wave in this game. It's no punishment at all for just.
Well, like there's a way you can like do the rotation and not lose any minions in mid lane. There's like a certain way to do it. I don't know how to do it, but they figure out the strats already, so that's actually kind of crazy.
We're gonna go slightly off topic and we're gonna jump right into chat here for a second. We got a guy, Reflex, first time chat. Thank you for your first time chat. It says, I quit Pred and I don't know why you guys are still playing it. So I'm gonna let you guys jump in that. Why are you guys still playing Pred?
Because I just have a lot of passion for the game and the project, because I'm like a huge Paragon OG back in the day. I think Paragon was the game that got me into MOBAs in the first place. So whenever that game shut down, I tried to get into League of Legends, but I never had that connect with that and whatnot. Yeah. So I just have so much love for Predecessor. So like I know it's not in the best spot right now, but like I just still really enjoy playing Predecessor a whole lot right now. That's just kind of like me, just having passion for the project, 100%.
All right. And before you answer, Reflex, exclusive Reflex also came back and said, yeah, I know I like the game itself also, but MM is not playable at the moment. So Reflex, I want to know, can you let me know why Exclusive's answering his reason why he's still playing the game? But can you let me know what your actual meta.city rating is? I don't want to out you in that situation. I just want to know, because I feel like there's something to do. A lot of people having issues with matchmaking is depending on where they're at.
Where you sit, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, Exclusive?
I just love the game. I mean, I stream it 6 or 7 hours a day, every day, you know, most of the week. I did play OG Paragon a lot, and when that shut down, I definitely felt a little bit of a void. I'm not really into MOBAs at all. They're not. I've tried League of Legends. I couldn't, the whole clicking the move thing, it just wasn't something I meshed with at all. I tried Smite, a little bit closer to Predecessor. It still couldn't really vibe with it. I just felt different. I just didn't really love it. There's something about Predecessor that is very digestible for people that maybe don't love games like League of Legends or Smite. Not saying that if you do like those games, you wouldn't like Predecessor, but for me at least, I found Predecessor a lot more digestible. You know, there's verticality. I feel very in the fight, and coming from, you know, kind of a shooter background, it just felt much more familiar to me. And I just think it's a lot of fun. Every game's different, and I like that there's always something you're learning. There's always something you're trying to do, you know, whether it's improving with a certain hero or trying to learn a different lane, or just, you know, this or that. There's just so many it's just like a never ending cycle of things to work on. And I don't know, I just have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. And I do agree, because even Shadow Cage says, and also Resraz also say that the matchmaking is bad. And I've have me and my friend Sangad that I play with all the time. He'll let me know when he's playing by himself. He's the man. My matches today were just bad, you know. And I'll get on, and my matches will be bad. Like I literally had, not yesterday, but the day before my matches, I played 5 matches. I won 1 and lost 4. And every one of those 5 matches, it didn't matter if I was off lane or if I was carry, the opposite side that the opponent went off. I literally was, all right, I was playing off lane and just the dual lane just destroyed. I'm like, okay, well, so the next game, like, well, let me be carry and I'll see if I can help counter that a little bit. So I was, all right, I'll play Murdoch because I'm enjoying him. And then somebody else won it and I was off lane again. Like, okay, so I'll be off lane. Dual lane ran it down. I'm like, what's going on? So the next game, all right, I'm playing carry. I got carry. My enemy crunch was like 16-0. I'm like, what is going on? Like, why? And I think I died like 4 times. I'm like, okay, like I can't fix this. I don't know what to do here. So it was bad. It didn't. And then so the next game I went off lane. It was the dual lane ran it down. I don't know what to do here. I couldn't fix it. So it was pretty bad. But yesterday's game, I played 4 games. I won all 4 of them. Some of them were pretty bad, but we still pulled out somehow, some way. But it gets pretty bad with matchmaking. And I was even saying during my first couple of games yesterday that I was like, if matchmaking is going to be this way for the rest of my night, I might even just end stream because I was late because of my daughter's softball game. As I might just end stream and just that way I'm not putting out bad content, but I might have to start playing another game to kind of give me something to take away from this a little bit. Because I'd be like, all right, I've been playing it all the time. This is my one game that I play all the time. Let's go play something else and take a break. And I'm getting to that point. It's matchmaking is that way. I'm hoping there's a change in the next patch that whatever they do, I don't know if something, they got to make some kind of change because it's not feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, they can maybe make some adjustments here or there, but most of the matchmaking issues, it's just the size of the player base in the early access online kind of game only, right? Like, remember the first season of early access, matchmaking was pretty solid, I would say, all around. It's not till towards the end and starting beginning season 2 where we started to notice some of the real matchmaking. That's because of the lower population, right? There's only so much you can do when you have a small population that's split into 4 different regions, right?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, a population is a big part of that situation, and that's another thing that I'm a little worried in the situation that they made the announcement that they're going to be working on the UI. You know, that's what they're working on. Like, well, that's not. There are key parts of the UI that are going to help with the population, but it's not going to be player retention style stuff. Like, well,
so like they say they were working on the new UI because they're specifically making it so that it's accessible to console players, so they can't release the console flood until they make the new UI that works with console players, right? So
right.
Once the UI is complete, then I assume console release will be very soon or right with the new UI, and that's going to be that population, new people coming in and replenishing the player base, right?
It kind of sounds like they had double the work almost if they were working on the new UI, but also had to make sure things were working on the old UI. And I think that's the reason they chose to, they're like, let's just put all our resources into getting this done so we can get this up and, you know, we can push this console release and get new people. I mean, if they had double the work with the small team, I can understand why they might want to.
If they release console, let's say they release console in the next patch, right? Or even after, let's say 2 patches, right? They get the UI out and here we go, the next big patch, they release console. That will be a flash in the pan of player base. Player base will all of a sudden grow real quick, but it's going to drop real quick too because they have nothing for player retention.
That's assuming there's nothing new to bring in season 3, because I mean, one of the big things that they've been teasing a lot is that like they keep talking about the hero mastery. They keep putting off, because I think it's somewhere around season 1 they talk about how they're gonna make a history mastery system for like season 10, make it a mastery system for season 2 maybe, but then season 2 came by like, okay, we need to bake this a little bit and we're gonna hopefully get out to like next season. So I will hope that with the console release, along with the new UI, we get the hero mastery as well that goes along with it. I think that'd be the most ideal like scenario we can be.
Now there you go. There you go. If we bring in hero mastery, that will, one, it'll make Medkit happy, and then he'll be 2 for 2 for the things that he's been asking for on the PREDCAST.
Happy, yes.
And so then that'll be good, and that's going to help with player retention. I'm just saying a UI itself right now where we're at, a UI itself, bringing out UI, fixing UI with this patch, right? I'm talking about, you know, big patch, and then the next big patch is console. I'm not saying that's how fast it's coming. I'm just using that as a timeline. you need to have something else with that. You need to have a little more with it, and if mastery system is that situation, that's going to be something that's going to give you that player retention. That's going to give you that grind. That's something to do. But speaking of mastery systems, Medkit, since you are here, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick, and then give your little thoughts on mastery system and console coming up.
Yeah, so hi guys, I'm Medkit. I would like Pred to go on console whenever they want, and yes for mastery, yes.
All right.
Also, hi Exclusive, how are you, man?
Hi, good. How are you?
We had a good game yesterday.
Yeah,
it was good to see you here on.
One of us
Predcast.
had a good game. One of us had a good game.
Actually, no, we didn't have a good game either, to be honest. Because what happened was Exclusive had someone DC, and regardless of if we won or lost, like, to be honest, my team I can tell like they weren't really having fun, because if one person goes AFK, you kind of ruins it for the other 9, right?
Yeah.
But mastery system is what I want to push aggressively for, just like I did with theater mode.
Yep. As I say, you'll be a 2 for 2 once you get it.
Yeah.
You're good.
Also, sorry I'm late.
You're good,
I was
man.
on the road this whole time. I couldn't even respond.
All good.
All day.
Oof.
You know how that is.
Yes, I do. So, all right. So this is perfect time, Medkit, because I know you're that guy that wants to sit here and we'll scheme up ideas here. We got the announcement. We know that Greystone is the next hero. All right.
Yep. I made a video. If you guys want to check it out, go for it.
Okay.
Hopefully do you want me to send you the link?
You can send the link, yes.
Or something. The timing on it is crazy, because I just had this idea, because you know how we had that community poll with FaZe, Kwong, and Greystone, and even though I voted for Kwong, I still believe that Greystone would have been the most interesting because of his ults. And we had this discussion before with you and I, Bearded, where I thought him and Phoenix was going to be a problem. You thought it wasn't going to be a big deal. So Greystone would have been a very interesting addition, more so than FaZe in my opinion. But nonetheless, FaZe won. And I already made a video on Kwong, which, by the way, if you guys want, you can check it out. I make Pred content.
Right?
I made one for Kwong. I made one for Greystone. I was like, hey, why not?
If you want to go ahead and send it to me, put it in our podcast. I will post it in the chat so people can check it out.
All right.
But there you go. And I know you're gonna jump in on this because you're gonna keep filling in, because I know you want to talk about kits, right? So Exclusive. What are your thoughts on Greystone? You played original Paragon, so you know that he has the rebirth is his ultimate, right? What are your thoughts? A Reforge, okay. So what are your thoughts on Reforge and Phoenix being in the game together?
I think it'll probably be fine. I mean, what I find a little bit more interesting is me and my friends have been talking recently that it seems like Omega doesn't really love passive abilities. They kind of lean more towards actives, and they shifted Murdoch's E to an active. And so I'm a little curious with Greystone's ultimate being entirely passive, are they going to do something to make that more of an active ability, or I don't know, just a question that usually keeps popping into my head. So I find that a little bit more interesting, but
a very solid point.
I don't feel like they'd want to stray too far away from, obviously, his Reforged. I know that's kind of what makes him really interesting. So I'm very curious to see what they do.
All right. Joey, what are your thoughts on the Reforged and Phoenix?
Wait, hold on. There's 2 questions. Which one do I go?
Bearded first. I'll ask mine later.
Okay, can you repeat your question, Bearded?
Yeah, no problem. What are your thoughts on Reforged and Phoenix being in the game with Greystone?
Well, it just
really if it's in the game, that's a big if. We don't know. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it just really depends on what they decide to do with Greystone's ultimate, right? So I think the big thing is just Exclusive said the whole design philosophy. They want to stay away from passive abilities and whatnot. And Greystone was sort of that big kind of character that had two passives. One is basic and one is ultimate, of course, right? So I would assume that we're gonna get a new basic ability, but also how exactly they're gonna rework his ultimate. We only time will tell, or we just wait 1-2 days and then we find out, right? So either way, they can't. I don't think they're gonna make his kit passive. It has to be like all active abilities essentially. That's how they want to try to accomplish it.
So let's say they are. Go ahead, with Medkit. Go ahead and ask your question, then I'll go with that.
Oh, right. So Joey, right off the top of your head, right? Can you remember some of the other heroes that had a passive for their ultimate? Like it could be a hybrid. Wukong, yeah.
Wukong. It's been a little bit. I'm trying to really dig in the head right now. Shoot, it's been a little bit. Can you give me a hint? Like I'm pretty sure you have it.
Like if you click it once for the rest of the game, it's technically like it's an active, but I don't know. I'm talking about Zinx. Like, do you guys consider that a passive ultimate or not? Because once you turn level 5 back in the day, you just click it once and you just kind of.
I don't know her ultimate because I never played as her. She never interests me, so.
Me neither.
So
right.
Actually, on that point, on scenes, I feel like they want to rework her kit. I don't think that should be ultimate ability. That should be a basic ability, and she gets a new ultimate. Because I think an ultimate that's just the on and off button sounds very underwhelming, right? But if you move that to a basic ability slot, give her a different ultimate, then I think you get kind of spicy kit potentially. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for that kit.
Yeah, I'm calling it now. I think Wukong and Zinx, their iteration to the game is going to be the biggest challenge for Blood Mortius and team. Out of all the other heroes, I think those two will pose the biggest challenge.
Okay.
I think those two, but also Ceres too. I feel like Ceres is
Sarah?
like, yeah, because I feel like Ceres actually has like huge potential to have a very like unique or complex kit, because the whole like thing is she sort of have like a mini stance switch on the ultimate kind of thing. I know we're gonna have that as well, but I feel like with Ceres, there's a lot of potential for her to be a very like high scaling kind of hero. So I feel like in that regard, they want to really kind of go that route. I think she's also gonna be a great challenge as well, 100%.
Okay.
So what if with going back to Greystone and his ultimate, what if they just made it an active like Phoenix, and instead of being a passive, like you have to time it just right, and if you don't time it just right, then you miss your ultimate.
Then you miss your ultimate?
Yeah. Then you could die. Like Phoenix. Like right now, if you pop Phoenix and you saw that they pop Phoenix, you hold off for that 4 seconds. All right, now go back and engage and kill him. That Phoenix didn't work for him. So if you pop your ultimate, maybe because it's an ultimate, maybe give it the back, go bring it back to the original Phoenix timing and give it the 6 seconds. Because it's his ultimate, give him 6 seconds. But if you just hold off on it, then you could go back and then all right, I know he popped his ult. Let's just wait, and then you kill it out. But by you waiting 6 seconds, that's also you taking damage for 6 seconds.
I can imagine if he misses the ultimate, then it won't go on full cooldown. You would get like some kind of refund, because that would be like a feels bad if
that would suck.
This is my ultimate. I'm trying to cast it and it just doesn't work. So that's just like, it would feel really bad if I click R and then next thing I see is 180 seconds or something.
Well, that interaction worked though, because if you don't want to make Greystone's ultimate like that, then what's the interaction with Phoenix? Like you pop both Phoenix and ultimate at the same time, like do both of them proc, or does the game crash? This kind of thing. So it's
well, I mean, you're hitting your ultimate button, so they're not both gonna proc. You'd have to hit your ultimate button, then your crest button, for them both to proc.
This is an interesting discussion to have. I told you guys.
Because I thought you said your ultimate, when you press your ultimate, you have to like die within X amount of seconds for it to go off, right?
Right.
And that's exactly how.
So if you popped them both, at the same time, then I feel like you just wasted it. Like why would you pop them both at the same time?
I mean, you wasted it, but like I'm just very curious about how that interaction would go.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. Work.
I think they would have to. I think they would favor it to be whatever ones, because I would assume, and this is just me assuming, that your Phoenix, when you come back with Phoenix, you got 40% health that we come back with?
30%.
30% health. Okay, so
yeah.
let's say with Greystone's ultimate you come back with 40% health. So I think it's going to give you the benefit of the better of the two, whatever one. If you pop them both same time, you're going to come back with the ultimate is going to be the one that takes precedence in that situation. That's the way I would just understand that it would be coded, but I don't know.
That also sounds a bit complicated.
It does.
Or I just don't get it. It could be
I don't know.
get it because I'm kind of feeling under the weather. I don't know if you can hear it.
Just,
I don't know. You sound pretty chipper actually, so I don't hear it. You sound like you're giddy and ready to go. So
Yeah, those meds are pretty good. Anyways,
hence a med kit.
So yeah. Go on.
No.
Oh, I thought you had a question for me.
You said those meds. You said those meds are as a hence a med kit.
No, so Greystone's ultimate, like I said it in my video, that it poses a couple of challenges and constraints. Some of them I can quickly go over. Greystone is meant to be beginner friendly. And now, disclaimer, I don't know if the dev teams at Omida will have the same design goals as they did in Epic Games, right? They could be completely different because like they're two different games now. But at least from back then, Greystone's design goals was just to be this hero that's very easy, that's very beginner friendly, that anyone can pick up and play, but at the same time is still like effective and useful to like a more skilled player.
Right.
And then
the offlane chimera.
Yeah, he was. I mean, in fact, Greystone was like the offlaner for a while, right? Until the actual goat of offlane came out.
Grux.
You pronounced Wukong wrong. And the other thing is his ultimate, right? When people think of Greystones, you may or may not like. I think of the ultimate because that ult is so iconic, right? The cinematic, the angles, the whole like this hero resurrecting, kind of like you know like from the heavens and then crashing down and then he's back and he's about to fight again. Kind of like the original designer, which was I think his name was Andrew Baines from Epic Games. He said it like it's not like from the ground, like he's coming out like a zombie. He's descending from the heavens. So basically, he's beginner friendly. The ult is iconic. You can't change too much of it. You have to retain it somehow, or else, guess what happens? You piss off the Greystone fan base, right? And that's not a good thing. It goes with any hero. You can't like, you have to enhance it somehow. You can't like gut them. Otherwise, the people like imagine if they gutted your Grux, like you wouldn't be a Grux, like, and you hated the new ult or whatever he may have. You're not going to be a fan of him anymore. That's not, that's not fair. So right. his ult and the whole integration of him and his ult, like basically Greystone without the ult, without the Phoenix Tread, he's fine. Like his assault the gate is pretty basic. Make way is pretty basic. Just like Sparrow and Chimera, how they had their passive on their E, those passives got moved over to the passive slot, and then a brand new ability was created for their E that fits their role and playstyle, right? So same thing with Greystone. I think that out of the two passives that he had, which was just a flat bonus, health and physical armor, which is kind of boring. I don't think they'll go with that route. I think they'll go with like the second passive that he got later on. I think it was called the Age of Intelligence or whatever. I think it was like patch 40 from back in the day. He got this rework where his passive is like he deflects an auto attack every few seconds.
Right.
If you level that up, that cooldown gets shorter and shorter. So I think that will be his passive.
Pretty cool.
And what that does, it opens up a brand new, like his E is up for grabs. It can be anything. So that's where the excitement comes from, right? Like that's where all of us can kind of like speculate, well, hey, what is this ability going to be?
I did like how Fault did his kit. He obviously had the normal, but they didn't have the Phoenix, right? So he had his normal alt. His E, I believe it was his silence. He would smack his shield, and there would be a cone out in front of him, and if you were in that cone, you silenced that those people that were in that cone. And then obviously his R&B was the leap, and the Q was the Fury of Swords. So I would be okay with them doing another silence. Silence is strong in this game, though. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Was it a silence? I thought it was
In Fault, it was a silence.
In Fault, yeah. Was it a silence?
Yes.
I thought it was like you can't auto attack. I didn't really play too much Fault, but I do remember I did like what they did with Greystone in Fault, his E in particular. It did something. It was like a cone. He smashes his sword against his shield, and it does something. Was it like I forgot the name, but I liked it. The Fault's version, what they did with their E. What do you guys think? Exclusive and Joey?
I never played Fault, so
I haven't played Fault either.
yeah, I don't feel like I have much to add, unfortunately.
So the question is, what are your guys' thoughts on putting it with silence being strong in this game? Looking back at exclusive, this with Drongo and also Richter, silence is those two duoed together in a lane. It makes it very tough to go against with that double silence. So putting another silence in the game, with silence being as strong as it is for the form of CC it is, what are your guys' thoughts on putting a silence on Greystone coming in, if that was what they were, if that's what they were to do?
So I mean, I guess the question is, does the silence fits Greystone's theme, right? Like Greystone is so kind of like that durable fighter back in Paragon who just kind of jumps in the fray. He's not afraid to take damage in CC, right? So does it make sense for this kind of warrior to have a silence on his ability, right? Maybe like head on, straight on kind of thing, right? So does that make sense thematically, I guess, is my question.
Disarm. Thank you, Fox. That's what it was called.
Okay.
Because something like the disarm actually sounds a little bit more of Greystone's theme, where he can temporarily disable their weapons, right? That's something that sort of falls into Greystone's theme mode. But if you're doing a silence, that's some voodoo magic going on right there. That doesn't make sense on Greystone in my head. So.
Voodoo magic.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't really see it being voodoo magic, though. I mean, it just literally is like, I don't know, you almost kind of like a stun in a sense. You're just smacking your shield, and it's just like all of a sudden your ears are ringing. You're like, okay, what the hell just happened? Or you can sit there and keep swinging if you wanted to. But yeah, disarm is what, Fox is right. It was a disarm in that, so I was wrong on that statement. So yeah, either way. So that, I guess that would be another form of CC that we don't currently have in Pred, right? Nobody has a disarm right now, right?
No.
No,
think so.
but I said this in my video. I wouldn't recommend Greystone getting any form of crowd control, because he that's his weakness, is that like he can't like lock anybody down. He can't chase that well, and he's also somewhat easy to catch.
But a disarm isn't locking anybody down.
It doesn't like stun them or anything?
No, it just stops them from being able to auto attack or basic attack. That's all it does.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Yeah, you're still able to move.
Okay.
So it basically it just gives you the same bug that you have when you die and you go back to base and you come back and you can't do anything until you click again. It does that. So it's already in the game. They already have it programmed. So they just need to do it on his E. So yeah, I think that would be a good thing. It adds another form of CC that we don't currently have. What about adding maybe a taunt to him?
I feel
disarm is like a silence for basic. Thanks, Ray.
I feel like a taunt would be better suited as a support ability, because like these are kind of cool ideas, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like these kind of different mechanics have a lot of potential to be on a new hero, for example, right? You don't want to put it on the hero that didn't originally have it, right? I mean, for sure, some heroes may need to get some new stuff here and there, but I feel like stuff like a taunt, I think that sounds like a very cool support kind of character, right? So if you give it to Greystone, and then you really limit your availability to do it on the new hero, right? So that new support hero that taunts won't be as unique because Greystone has that in that example, right?
Yeah. What's the purpose of Greystone, right? you look at Greystone, he kind of just wants to like dive the back line. He doesn't give a fuck. He's got like 2 lives, right? More if you slap Phoenix on him, make him very tanky. So I think whatever his E is, it's got to be something that kind of promotes that, right? It could give him more armor, or it could give him like damage mitigation, something that helps that kind of playstyle where, hey, I'm Greystone, I'm just gonna W key their backline, ignore their tanks. In fact, Greystone was known as that W key hero, right?
Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. Minimum brings up a good option, and see what your guys' thoughts. I want his E to be his previous passive, but as an active, and he can deflect abilities. So it'd be almost like a Yin style, but with his shield, instead of reflecting it back, it's just a deflect.
I'd love that.
Yeah, that would be cool. And if it's for autos, then Pred can definitely do it, because their autos are like projectiles. They're not hit scans, right? And also, in my video, I mentioned Greystone. You know how he has that dragon on his back?
Depending on what skin he's got, yeah.
We got like no form of like lore around that. We didn't even get a skin around that. Like, it's just there. I kind of want, like, whatever his E is, I kind of want it like dragon themed. So in my video, I was like, hey, what if like there's like this big fiery aura in the shape of a dragon that gives him damage mitigation or something? Because like, I don't know, it's there. That's the idea that came to my head.
Right.
It's not a bad idea either.
All right. So we've come to the conclusion, though. I think we're all okay, besides Medkit, with Phoenix being in the game and Reforge being in the game as well. All right. Well, speaking of that, though, Raid really just came in chat. Raid says, for the record, I've been lobbying to delete Phoenix since before we even went EA. Greystone or no stone. I can't imagine it'll stay in the game as a crest for much longer. Genuine question: would anyone miss the crest if it was gone for the rest of the roster? I would miss it because I never use it.
I'm team Icecorn all day.
Right. I much prefer Icecorn out of that. The Warriors crest. I much prefer Icecorn, or even Basilisk. Right? Is the other one?
Brutalax.
Brutalax. That's what it is. My bad. Basilisk is the item. So I much prefer those two over Phoenix. But I mean, yeah. So it wouldn't bother me. What are your guys' thoughts? Exclusive?
It wouldn't bother me at all, to be honest. I don't use it really at all, but I even just playing against it, I find it more irritating than I do. It's not even really irritating. I feel like it almost falls flat a little. It's so easy to, you just don't hit him for 3 seconds and then he's going to die anyway. Or, if you're Murdoch, you toss a trap under it and you kill him and he's just going to come back anyway, right on top of your whole team that's waiting for him. It's just, it wouldn't bother me if it's gone. I think, I also don't really think, even if it was still in, I don't know if double dipping on Greystone with Phoenix would really even make sense, in my opinion, at least. I feel like you'd almost want to do something else. You've already got, if his ult stays the same, you've already got that, Phoenix. Right. You might as well dip into something else that might be helpful.
Might as well get another passive that you can use as well. It makes sense to me. Like that's where I'm at. Exclusive. Like you can double dip if you want, but again, to me, Phoenix is already easy to play around.
Yeah.
Like you see that it's happening. You can either you have two choices. You either just sit there and wait for that 4 seconds and then you kill the person and then they don't get to utilize it, or you just sit there and destroy them and then your whole team just huddles around that orb and then all of a sudden CC lock them and then the person's dead now too. Like, what's the point of it, right? And it's gonna be pretty much the same thing for his ultimate, if that's the way his ultimate's gonna be. So it'll be different for sure. Joey,
I think
Phoenix in the game, you'd be okay if it's gone?
Yeah, I'll be okay with it. I mean, I think on paper it sounds like kind of a cool little thing to play around with, but I think it just promotes some unhealthy kind of interactions where you have someone run you down, but you don't want to kill them because they're part Phoenix, but if you don't kill them, they kill you kind of thing, right? So stuff like that may be a little unhealthy. I think they can probably do a new kind of Warriors quest. I think that can be I think it'll be a lot more fun than Phoenix, I would say. I think if they do it right, then I don't think anyone would miss Phoenix at all.
Choice Blaze says, the name Phoenix makes me think of fire. Activatable flame boots that give you a speed boost and causes magical damage in a space around you. Boom. The name Phoenix reminds me of the bird Phoenix that rebirthed from the ashes. So it literally gives you the actual what Phoenix is right now. So that's what I get out of Phoenix. But I do like your thoughts there. Somebody asked here, Joey Baga, doesn't the hero Terra already have a block worth her shield where she can block abilities? You guys remember that?
And yep, that is true.
Okay.
She gets a shield, like a percentage shield based off of like whatever damage she deflected with her shield.
Okay, there we go. All right, so win over Greystone kit. We're pretty decent with that. Anybody else want to touch on Greystone's kit at all?
Well, I think only for me, the only other comment I would have is I hope that Greystone can be that fighter that can be better suited to go against like tanks off lane. Because like a lot of people are kind of saying that sort of a tank meta kind of thing for a while, even with the nerfs and to tanks and the buff to kind of like to boosters, right? But I feel like that's only because we have a hero cast issue where like it's just with the current roster we have, I think tanks are very favorable to a lot of the assassins and like the duelists and kind of things. I think Crunch and Grux, they hate being CC, and tanks have a lot of CC, right? So yep. I'm hoping that Greystone can be that bruiser that's in the same category as Grux and Crunch, but can actually be fine or even favorable going against the Richter Steel instead of like Offlane, because we know Greystone back in Paragon, he doesn't care if he gets CC, he wants to be CC and focus on because he has the ability to make up for it, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of like my expectation and / hope for Greystone coming into next week.
All right, I agree. I'm excited as an offlane main now. I've never been excited for Greystone. I am now excited for Greystone. So we'll see how that goes.
Do you guys think it's important for a hero to be able to play more than just their designed lane or role? I mean, I kind of find it interesting when you're able to, get a little creative with. Or do you think that Greystone entirely is just an offlaner? It's fine that he's just an offlaner. Let's just design him to be.
I mean,
offlaner.
Back in Paragon, he was playing jungle too.
Yep.
And granted, I think he was better to his offlane kind of thing because like his ganks doesn't have any CC or burst damage, so as jungler, it's not as effective, but it can still work, right? And I'm actually quite happy that a lot of heroes can double dip into different roles. I think Richter, he plays like 3 different roles: support, jungle. Yeah, so like I think that's really good for a game with a smaller hero pool. You want to make sure you can have
can play Richter in mid.
There's that too. So I think it's very good and healthy that we have heroes that can be flexed into different roles, just so we have more hero variety in different roles and doesn't get too stale when a hero is very strict and locked down into one like lane, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. I hope he's viable in more places than just offlane.
About to bust out the phase of Greystone duel. Well, I mean, Greystone his original creation was supposed to be a melee carry. So, and with exclusive being a carry main, I mean, that just kind of fits his role.
I'll try it out.
That's what he was supposed to be, but then he got pushed over to the offlane. Which in my opinion makes sense to me. But I was also, like I said, I'm the guy that I want to be a ranged hero. That's what I always wanted to be. But now here I am playing Grux. Bitching about ranged in the offlane. So, all right, exclusive. You're an ADC main. You got the current ADC roster we have. Who is the one ADC that you want in the game that's not in there yet?
I love Twin Blast, but it's hard for me to not say Yin. I think the fact that she's a melee carry is just so different than anything. I think honestly that it's different. I don't play any other MOBAs, but I've been told that no other MOBA really has that other than like Dota or something. So I just think that's really interesting. We don't really, especially for people that maybe hadn't played Paragon, seeing a carry with a whip and but she had that really cool like deflect, kind of what we were just talking about. She has that like reflect ability, and she was really cool. So I'd be down to have some Ian.
All right. But you said TB. A lot of people have been talking about how TB isn't in the game already. Like some people could consider TB pretty much one of the faces, if not like the face of Paragon in some people's eyes. I wouldn't say that, but I mean, it's there. What are your thoughts about TB not being in the game already?
I think they probably want to tweak him a little bit. I find him, I feel like he had something that was a little bit underwhelming. I can't remember what it was. Maybe his ultimate they kept having to kind of tweak and try to figure out how that would work. And I mean, he was pretty high mobility, which was fun. But I would imagine they don't have him in yet just because they're trying to figure out how to navigate that. I don't really. Do you guys remember what his ultimate was in?
He had two different ultimates.
Yeah,
Twin Blast had probably
maybe three
works
Yeah.
out of any hero, but some of the things for Twin Blast stay consistent. He always has some form of grenades. He has some form of dash. He has some form of transforming his back and arms into some giant like thing, whether it shoots rockets or Gatling bullets or whatever. And his theme is always like it themes around like nitro and speed.
Mm-hmm.
He was like deemed completely unusable right before Monolith. He was like the weakest carry. I remember you needed like, even if you had 2 strike tokens, you would still like hit weaker than another ADC without that strike token. And then finally, when Monolith came out, he got a really nice rework, which was my favorite. That's when he got the growth affinity, and that was like my favorite version of Twin Blast. I didn't really like the V43 version of Twin Blast, where they made like his bullets like auto homing and auto critting, and I'm just like, what is this? Like, I'd rather have the RMB triple tap, the 3 charges of my grenades. I like the way Fault did it, where you hold I think his E, and it's like one big boom.
Yeah, it'll instead of using just one, it'll use 2 grenades, and it makes a bigger AoE.
Oh, okay.
Now, I didn't like Fault's ultimate, right? Fault's ultimate, you know how when Grux right now, when he ults, he turns orange, like the fire inside is kind of burning out of him. That was kind of the same thing with TB. He didn't change, his arms didn't change, and he was basically doing double damage, and that was his ultimate. And you didn't feel it. It didn't feel good to hit his ultimate. I didn't like that. I like the old ultimate where his arms would change and you came out with it. I don't care. You give me the rocket launcher ultimate. I don't care. Or give me the Gatling gun ultimate. I don't care. Just give me something that when I press the button, it feels good. That I felt like, all right, I pressed something. Now I'm doing something, and this is what I want. So that's.
It's funny. I think Twin Blast ult in Overprime actually felt pretty good. It felt like it impacts. But then again, I haven't played Overprime in like months, so I don't know if they changed it or not.
I tried playing it, and it was literally ask Street Soldier in chat right now. He'll tell you that it was like watching a freaking slideshow. Couldn't do it. So, yeah. So just give me that some of that his arms beef out, and give me I like the Gatling gun. That's the one I thought was better. You know, you can sit there to mow people down. I thought that was cool. Ultimate. Give me that one. But.
I wonder if that's why he's not in the game yet, just because he's one of the more difficult heroes to
indecisive
design, almost
right,
like literally physically design with he kind of evolves with a lot of his abilities, and he's like this half human, half like mechanical, whatever. So he's
right.
No,
yep.
Yeah.
Sure that's very difficult to actually physically design.
Yeah, Exclusive's got a point. He's kind of like TB. Everyone would think like, hey, you just copy and paste and he's ready to go. But if you think about it, Pred is just kind of like finalizing the best and perfect version of Twin Blast that can possibly be put together. Because he's had so many different changes.
Yeah. So while we're on the subject, oh, go ahead.
One thing I remember when I was away, so I was away for 2 months, right? And there was one podcast I was here. I think Blood Mortius was on that one, on that episode, and he mentioned something about a hero with no mana bar. And I was like, that sounds like a Twin Blast thing. And then I was like, wait. And then Intarth, I don't know if he's watching. This is his idea. Twin Blast not having a mana bar, but instead he uses a different resource, and that resource is like, I think he said steam, where if you use too many basic attacks, he like overheats, and he has to use abilities to cool down, so the meter goes like down. So that's how like that's where the skill comes in. You have to like be a master of like balancing this meter, this brand new resource.
I think you'd have to flip that though, because he's an ADC. Like your whole point is your basic attacks, right?
Yeah, maybe, but basically, this new character, this character that doesn't have a mana bar, just like every other character.
Right.
Now, of course, you can probably guess the elephant in the room, right? Her name starts with B, ends with Elika.
Interesting. All right. So Decker got it.
Right. So then that ability needs something done with, because it's like an ability that drains mana, but then here you have a Twin Blast that doesn't have a mana bar, and it, et cetera, et cetera. So I like the idea with that, and even Minimum 10 agrees with it. Likes it. It sounds really cool, and I just think it would be, with him being ADC, I think you just have when it uses abilities, it uses a bunch of steam, and he's got to use his basic attacks to get it to climb back up. I think that would be the best way to do it. But that's also pretty damn close to how Fault did Grim with his energy. They use energy instead of mana, and depending on what mode he was in was depending on how much energy he used, and then he had to be in a certain mode to get that energy back faster. So it was a pretty cool way they did Grim. If those who don't know, I mean, literally Grim was a great way. It was a stance switcher, so somebody go check that out on Fault. Look that up. You'll see how it was. It was actually pretty good. But just said something.
On the topic of heroes and coming out or whatever, Joey, this was
before that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's do Ray's question really quick first.
Ray's got a question all about it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
All right. On the trend of future heroes, with new meta original coming up soon, what is it you guys expect / want from a new hero for it to be felt as good as a good addition? For example, new mechanics, unique theme, lore, tying it, pairing, etc. Obviously, we have Kira, Xena, and Mako for reference to reflect on.
I want something that's non-bipedal. Like Iggy and Scorch or something.
Non-bipedal would be cool. 100% agree. For me, Ray, I know you brought up Xena and Mako, but and those fit this situation. I said it in our previous podcast, I just don't want a 1-for-1 copy and paste of what Valara, is that her name from HOTS? Whatever her name is, that's what kind of Kira is. She kind of fits that. Like, here we go. We already have a hero. Almost everything fits this. Like, don't give me that. Give me something that I get with the MOBA theme or MOBA genre. It's almost hard to create of anything straight up original. But I don't care if you cherry pick from this. We want this person's alt, we want this person's R&B, we want this person's Q and this person's E, and we're just gonna make this Frankenstein awesome, a hero. Like, that's something I would be completely okay with. So that's my biggest thing that I would want for the game, for it to be something interesting to me. But I do love the how Kira ties into Countess. I would love to have this new hero tie in, because we need Paragon and Predecessor's heroes. We need that make it an easy transition and make it go together. So having them tie in with an original hero, it just helps that transition even better. We don't have two separate entities like, hey, here's Paragon, here's Predecessor. So that would be something I would like that as well.
So for me, I guess two things that I think kind of classic MOBA things that we haven't quite gotten Predecessor. I think the one thing we always kind of touch on is the manless hero, someone that relies on like stamina, right? And I think something that comes to mind for that example is I think someone like Rumble would be sort of cool in Predecessor. Not exactly like a mid laner, but for those who do not know, Rumble had a kit that essentially revolves around using the abilities. And whenever you use your abilities too quickly, you essentially overheat, and then you lock out certain abilities and you get certain like enhanced effects, right? So on the topic of like Trimbites, for example, what if he's a manless hero, but like whenever he uses abilities, he brings up the heat and whatnot, and if you use abilities too much, he overheats and his guns kind of like fire out a little bit. That could be a really cool concept for a manless hero, but you just have to be Trimblood. I just thought that'd be a good example to bring up. But outside of that, another thing that I would like to see personally is like a stance switcher, which I think we kind of touched on, because I think stance switcher is sort of like that classic MOBA kind of thing, and we haven't quite got that in Predecessor. So definitely Wukong, I think, can be a great stance switcher character, but also the Sarah's can also fit that niche as well. So I think both of those like concepts, I think, can definitely work in Predecessor with some of the heroes we have yet to see back in Paragon right now.
Exclusive?
I don't know. I think the addition of Wukong in Paragon was really interesting because it kind of changed the he had these different fundamentals that we just hadn't really seen before, being able to, well, I guess Kalari was relatively similar, but his ability to like go all the way up and run on the sky and stuff was really cool. I wonder if they do something more underground or more elemental or something. Would be kind of interesting. We haven't had anything water related, have we, either?
Well, I'm glad you bring that up. We literally just had big tones in chat. I made a poll on Reddit, and lots of people are interested in a mud blob that can turn into a wall, a ramp, and can melt into the ground and make a mud slick that slows and traps you.
Cool. So he will be deadly near that river in the middle.
Yeah.
Maybe he moves faster in the river, but then slower on the ground. Like he gets some movement speed in the river. Be interesting. All right.
I would like a spider.
All right, so
bipedal.
Ray says, yeah, alt stealing / kit stealing is always fun. It's extremely expensive on the tech side to maintain, is the biggest downside. Every future hero you have to go back and adjust it, etc. So that kind of reminds me of Echo from Overwatch, right? I think it's Echo. Yeah, Echo in Overwatch, where she's able to basically just kind of morph into that person and become that person's ability, have all their abilities and alts. So that'd be interesting. All right. But speaking on the heroes and upcoming heroes, Joey, was this poll done by Zygor? I see Zygor posted the results, but I don't know who did the poll. I didn't see the poll. I mean, obviously it was only done on Reddit. And I'm not a Reddit guy.
Psycho is the one that made it. Essentially a little bit ago, he made Reddit posted like, hey, I'm making this like Google form, you can vote on which heroes do you want to see the most kind of thing. I'll show the results later, right? And so what he did was he a week ago he said he got over 1,000 responses, and he shows like kind of like the 11 heroes we have yet to see and how many votes they got. So like for the top 5 heroes that we want to see the most, so like Sarah actually won the whole hero poll, I think, with 130 votes, Kwon with 126 votes, Award with 122 votes, Iggy and Scorch with 100 votes, and Greystone with 88 votes. And then it goes like Wukong, Wraith, Blast, Grim, Sinks, and Terror down that order.
I love how it says that Iggy and Scorch got 100 votes, and it says at least 20 of them are from the same 3 people. Oh my gosh.
It's the guy who posted Iggy and Scorch memes, I swear.
Right? All right. Yeah, so I hate this poll, for one, because my girl Tara is all the way down there at the bottom with only 27 votes. So that is annoying as all could be. But yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on that top 5 right there? Sereth, Kwong, Aurora, Iggy, Scorch, and Greystone.
I'm glad Kwong made up there. Aurora made it up there. The other 3 are like, okay. But I'm happy about Kwong and Aurora getting top 5.
You're not feeling Sereth?
I like Sereth. I just don't know how Pred will handle melee carries. We'll have to see.
Well,
To me,
she can,
it just sounds like assassin. I don't know.
yeah, they could just give her the Greystone treatment. Well, Epic Games originally designed Greystone to be a carry, but he instead became like an off-laner. So they could just do the same thing Sarah as well. You could be designed as an assassin in the jungle, just an example, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think thematically, I think she was really cool. I think Quan's the coolest, but I can definitely see why people will like Sarah's whole like angel demon kind of side.
Yes.
Such a cool concept.
And I think outside that concept, I think her kit has the most potential probably to be the most rework and be really, really cool. If they do it right.
I don't think this is how it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I would love for Sereth and her backing animation when she stands there to have a devil on this shoulder and an angel on this shoulder, and her looking at both as they're like both like bickering, arguing with each other. I think that would be so cool as a backing animation. I mean, then, you know, obviously back. I think that'd be really sweet. But I do love her thematic.
Backing animation when?
So yeah, that's another exclusive. That she's another supposed to be one of those melee carries. Are you gonna try her out as well in that duo lane?
Oh yeah, I'll try her. I mean,
I think she's gonna be another Greystone, just like what Joey was saying. I think she's gonna get pushed over. I just don't think. I don't know if it's a balancing issue or what it is. I just don't think that a melee, because even with Yin, she's got some range to her, right? She's not literally just straight up. You got to be in your face, attacks. And I think with Greystone and Sereth, you got to be in their face attacking. And it's hard to do that.
You get punished so hard.
It's hard to come out on top on that, So I don't think she's gonna fit there. You guys, what do you guys think it is? Do you think it's a balance thing? Do you think it's a kit thing? Like what?
I think
what is it?
Thing, because like when they made Greystone, he was one of like the earliest Paragon heroes. So they were playing around the idea, hey, what happened if we make a melee carry, right? So they played around with Greystone, didn't end up working well. They're like, okay, let's try again with Ceres, do a little different stuff, but end up not working as well again. So the third time, like, hey, let's try Yin, and that actually ended up working pretty well, I would say. So I think it's more like just a kit design philosophy, right? So I don't think it was balanced. It's just like the kit they made just ended up not being the greatest in the carry role, but ended up being useful in other roles.
All right. Ray says melee carries in a 2v2 lane setup are inherently difficult to make work. They need extremely potent defensive dueling tools to maintain through the lane. League still hasn't cracked it. Nihilish is a melee carry they recently added, and they have to give her bonus experience and other effective cheats is in quotes you put, just to function. Nyla, God, all good. I don't play League, so I read it as Nylash. I'm sorry. If I played League, I would have already corrected it for you. So that's kind of on me, but I don't do the top-down point-to-click to move type stuff. I can't. Not for me. So
the three melee carries, Sereth, Wukong, and Yin. Sereth and Wukong eventually started working well in either jungle and off lane, and Yin can be okay in the off lane, I guess. I like Yin's kit and design, but yet like Wukong and Sereth, I started to notice a lot more play in the offlane and jungle towards the end of Paragon.
Okay. Now with this poll, the bottom, let's do the bottom five. I'm gonna read them in reverse order. So Terra, Zinx, Grim, Twin Blast, and Wraith. What are your guys exclusive right there? You got you got 3 ADCs in the bottom of that. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Wraith is a ton of fun. I remember playing him as a carry. I think you could play him in mid as well. If I don't.
That's where I recognized him from, was a mid lane. He's that weird in between spot. Yeah. But we'll go over that a little bit.
He was a lot of fun. I thought his kit was really interesting. Twin Blast, very excited when he gets in, but I'm surprised people aren't more excited to have him. People loved Twin Blast back in the day, so that's a little surprising to me. His kit's definitely not as interesting as people like Sereth or Aurora or any of those people up towards the top of that list, so that's not horribly surprising. Grim I didn't like at all. I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I didn't entirely understand how he worked compared to the rest of the carries. I just found him much more difficult to play. So
he was a very weird carry. 100%.
it was odd. It just felt uncomfortable for me.
It was an ADC with a giant hitbox.
Yeah,
Right.
so strange.
And I actually read that wrong. I read that wrong because the 8 is actually a tie. So it's Terra, Zinx, Grim, Twin Blast, and Yin are tied, and then Wraith is at 7. So that's actually 4 ADCs that made the bottom of this list. So there actually isn't really an ADC at the top unless you want to count Seraph. But again, like I said, I'm pushing her.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're good. No, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying. I think that's only because we just recently kind of have like the Revenant and Kira 2 ADCs kind of back to back, right? And I think a lot of people are interested in seeing other like heroes in the other roles, right? I think like the Quan, the Woa, so a lot of those heroes are gonna shake up the hero roster a lot more than ADCs at the moment, especially with just. So I think that's just what it is. I think a Twin Blast, a Yin is really cool. It's just I think there's a little bit higher priority for other heroes at the moment.
I agree.
Yeah. So I agree with that. I just think it's. I mean, I know we got Kira, but it's just that's weird to see that. Like again, this is community vote. I would have thought for sure you would have seen some ADCs a little spread out, a little further in that situation. But yeah, my biggest thing with this whole thing is Terra's too far down there. Like that's I think with Terra's kit and her being the anti-CC and with CC being a big situation here, I think her kit would be great in this, especially this tank meta right now. I mean, it's hard to say it's a tank meta. I think it comes down to a lot of people. I was just having a conversation with Real Easy in one of our last videos. I think it's comes down to a lot of people not understanding to build the pen, like Demolisher. Demolisher is a huge item right now with that rework that it got, and can help get through. So what? Let's exclusive ADC main. What are your thoughts on tank meta right now? You being ADC, and how do you combat against it?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, I can deal with it, right? If you build accordingly, but that doesn't really mean that the rest of your team is equipped to handle 2 or 3 tanks, you know, and it's a lot for one person to shut down. So I am finding it difficult if you're playing against like a Rampage and a Sevarog, and maybe there's a Steel support. That's a lot to, you know, there's only so much Demolisher can do against that many tanks. So I'm noticing it seems to be more and more important now to make sure your team is kind of equally as equipped in the tank department. So, but yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I just build Demolisher, and that's really all that I really feel like that's all you can do. If your team has picked a lot of really squishy heroes and they've got a setup kind of like what I just described, then you're kind of in trouble if you fall behind and you know, let the game get too far gone.
Agreed. All right, out of those 5, or I guess technically 6, I guess with you exclusive, I'm guessing you're gonna say Yin. But who would you move to the top out of those 5? Again, that's Terra, Zinx, Grim.exe, Twin Blast, Yin, and Wraith. Who are you moving to the top?
I would move Wraith, I think.
Oh, Wraith, okay.
He had a really... I almost picked Yin. It was very close. Yin's got a really interesting kit. That's the only reason I think, like, if you were to add another carry in the middle of all these other really interesting people you can add, I think Yin's kit's just really interesting, so that would be fun. But Wraith is kind of in the same boat. He's so unique. He's got such an interesting kit, and he's a lot of fun to play. So I would do Wraith.
Now,
I agree as well.
Yeah. Oh, you agree with you want Wraith up there too? All right.
Well, like, I guess in terms of, like, if I would choose any of the ADCs, I would actually want to see Waste come first out of that bunch, because back in Paragon, it's supposed to say he has a very cool kit that worked not only well in the carry role, but also in the mid lane as well. Mm-hmm. Like, I know people like to do whip in mid, but it doesn't feel the greatest all the time. But, like, Waste is someone you can actually play mid and carry. Kind of back in Paragon. I think bringing him would be really cool, because he can be flexed into either of those roles potentially if they go that same route that Paragon did with this kit, right? Okay. Now, Medkit, who would you take up out of that?
Very close. Like, Wraith is like right here. Twin Blast is like right there.
So Wraith is the one you would move up?
Wraith, yeah.
All right. So not to make it exclusive here, I'm going to say Terra. Just that way we don't want to make it just like everybody here. I'm gonna go with Terra. But speaking of Wraith, though, his kit. What are your guys' thoughts on his kit and where he feels? I know a lot of people complain about his kit because he's not really ADC. There's not a lot of damage in his kit. It's more utility. He's more of like a support in a sense. He's like a support ADC. He supports the team, but he's also the ADC. So what are you guys' thoughts there?
His ult should just work on himself.
Was that the invis for the team?
Yeah, invis. I actually agree with that because I think giving the invis to an entire team, I think that'd be really hard to balance if you think about it, especially at the comp scene. So I think so I think if you just give it to himself, I think that will fit more into his kind of actual selfish play style, but also like just make it really a lot easier to balance, right? So I can totally see that. I
think that works. Literally switch that around, switch his ultimate around, make it a basic ability, his invis only himself, and then his ultimate would be the rewind.
Yes, that's a great idea. Because
his rewind being the basic ability, again, as what Big Tone says, his rewind is so strong, and I think that's very true. Like, you think you escaped, and all of a sudden it's like, nope, we're gonna get back here, and that's just a basic ability for an ADC to bring you right back to him. Like, hey, I don't need Richter, I got this ability, I can bring you to me. Again, like I said, he's his own support. Like with what the stuff that he can do, he's all right. Hey, I can. Don't worry, I got a ward. I'll put a ward over here. Oh, so let me go invis so I can safely get out of here. I can go invis. Oh, I want to secure my kill. Get back here. I'll secure my kill. And we'll go from there.
So I think the big thing you gotta realize is the basic ability by itself for Waze is actually, like I said, very strong. But if you look at the rest of Waze's kit, his only other damage ability is just his R&B snipe, right?
Right.
So it's very powerful on the ADC, but he's not a Kiwa who has a ton of damage ability. He's not a Murdoch. He's not like any other ADCs that have a much kill threat in his basic kit, right? So to kind of bounce that around, he has a very powerful rewind ability, right? So you just gotta think of that as well. So of course, like if you play around with your teammates, then that's a different kind of story, right? But maybe that plays into Waste's identity. It's not like a solo kind of ADC that can duel people 1v1, but someone that really excels in playing with teams and whatnot, and that's where you get the shines in the most, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for Waze, I kind of like that identity a little bit of him just being a very, very good ADC when he's playing with teammates. And I think that can be sort of his niche identity instead of being like that lone Murdoch who's very self-sufficient, right?
Yeah, that would be his double-edged sword. Because he only has his autos and his R&B, which means that's basically his power budget, right? Everything else is utility. You get the rewind, you get the invis, you get the reconnaissance. So it's just like Joey said, he would be very effective in teams, but by himself would be that could be like a design goal, like make him so he is very effective at like giving information to your team, but by himself he's kind of like out in the open, not as effective.
Big Tone makes a good point too. They should change his wards since everyone already gets them. What are your thoughts on that?
So probably that is going to be the ability that can really set the whole design philosophy for Waze, right? So like the snipe, the invis, and the rewind, right? And then now, based on what's the other basic ability, it can completely shift either way for what Waze is going to be, right? So I think I agree with Big Tones. I think maybe give away the wards he got because the basic kit, and instead replace it with something that will really help solidify his identity in the Predecessor roster.
See, now I'm also on the side of keeping his ward because having an extra ward in this game is huge in my opinion. I've been asking for a solo laner to give me an extra lane for solo lane. You already give me 3 or 4 different spots that the person can gank me from, like, and I can only ward 1. Like, I just let me award 2 of the 4, then that way I can at least have a little bit of a chance of going on. But
somebody clears them in 3 seconds with Sentry, and you're on 160-second cooldown to place more.
Exactly, right? It's very rough. Yeah, you put your 1 on, you place your 1 ward down, and then it gets cleared. It's all right. Now, do I place my next ward now, and then I'm just here forever? Like, what do I do? It's a tough challenge. words in this game are very limited in mid and solo lane, I would say. Very limited. So I would be okay with him actually kind of having that, but again, that benefits dual lane again, and your support, once they get their crest upgraded, they already have 3 wards themselves, so your dual lane's already pretty much set once the crest is upgraded. So yeah, I think it would be better for him personally. I know in chat somebody was saying, I'm sorry, Reflex was saying that they're saying that according to Epic that Wraith wasn't a ADC, he was a mid laner. I don't remember it being that way. I could be wrong. But if he is a mid laner, still it'd be a little bit different. But if he's going to be an ADC, giving him a little more damage or a little something that's going to help kind of make him that utility, a little damage utility, maybe a little bit of both would be good. Did I lose you guys? No? All right.
Oh, no, we're
All right. So you're good. Medkit, you are the epic history buff here. What do you remember Wraith being advertised as?
Who's Wraith? She like goes through portals, right? And she's that girl that can go through portals.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, so Wraith was his shtick was like pursuit of okay, so you know how him and Kalari have like the same lore, they went to the same academy, so they can both turn invis. Kalari turns invis in pursuit of like killing somebody, whereas Wraith is more so I'm gonna turn invis in pursuit of knowledge and vision and information. And yeah, he's basically a spy.
Right.
So yeah, that's about it.
Doesn't answer my question.
He went.
But thank you.
What was the question?
What do you remember him being advertised as in the role, either a mid laner or an ADC?
Oh. First, okay. Initially it was mid lane, and then at some point they like I forgot which patch it was, but at some point they cranked up his basic attacks by a lot, and then he started to become more favorable in the dual lane.
Got you. Okay, so now that's what I do. He was out before. Well, no, when did he come out?
He came out in Monolith. Like
Monolith?
He came out sometime in the summer, I think, of 2017.
It wasn't the summer of 69. All right. Okay. All right, state of the game, guys. Let's go over the state of the game for all of us. Where are we at? What are we doing? What do we got going on? What do we think can be? No, we gotta.
We on the podcast,
but we gotta talk about it because we got our boy Windu's not even here. All right, our boy Windu's not even here because he hasn't even played the game. Right, so there's people that are literally leaving this game in this situation, and like what is the state of the game for you right now? Like with the current changes, I actually love the gameplay. Like with what's going on, with what we have with the game, with the tank meta, which I still am on the fence with it being a tank meta. I love how the game feels. Like going into a game and playing it and playing a full game out, it feels really good. But I think it just comes down to matchmaking. I think that's the biggest issue with this game right now. What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, as I said earlier, I think the matchmaking went in like season 1, for the most part it was working as a 10. It's just as the player base starts to dwindle, that's when it starts to fall off, right? So maybe you can make some little bit more adjustments to it, but there's only so much that you can do, like I say, when you have a small player base you're working with, right? So right now it's just kind of a getting through season 2 of an early access game and hoping the season 3 maybe see a console release, maybe see some more stuff bring back in the game to really incite people to jump back in and have fun, right?
Right, but would you say that is the biggest issue with the game right now, is matchmaking, or do you think there's something else that's a bigger issue?
Well, the biggest issue with the game is it's an early access game. Like, it's so like, I feel like a lot of frustrations with people having with the game is I feel like a lot of people are not treating this as an early access game, right?
Okay.
And I totally get that, because sometimes I forget this is an early access game because of the polish and the gameplay just feeling really crisp, really sharp, right? But it's still early access game at the end of the day. We don't have some of the quality of life. We don't have like the basic features what you would expect in a normal game. And that's when people do realize that and see that or run into the issues is where a lot of people get frustrated, right? But that's part of the early access experience. There's gonna be some frustration and obstacles along the way. But once the game is out early access, once it's on full release, is where we should hopefully see it. We'll see a finished product that I think a lot of people are gonna love. That's the hope, right?
Okay. Joseph, what do you think is the main issue with the game right now?
I mean, honestly, I completely agree with Joe. I think a lot of people forget it's an early access game. I play it like 6-7 hours a day whenever I'm streaming, and I've been having a blast. I mean, there's not really many drastic problems that I can say that are really making me question whether or not I want to play it.
Okay.
I understand people's frustrations with the matchmaking. I do think it comes down to kind of just a lack of players, and they're trying to keep the games as balanced as they can be without making people wait for 20 minutes to find a match. I mean, it's a tough thing to balance with a small player base. So I think these are just kind of the growing pains of an early access game, but I don't know if that's necessarily a major problem they need to really address. Like, I think it might just be expected when they're still building something like this. So
agreed.
It's kind of hard for me to say that it's a problem they really need to like fix. I don't know if there is a fix other than, just keep putting out good updates and bringing more people to the game. And I mean, I've had a handful of friends try this game recently, like within the last month, and have been really having a good time, and they're learning and playing, and I don't see them stopping anytime soon. So I do think, at least I hope we're kind of trending in a good direction with these patches and these updates that, we'll see more players come soon enough.
Okay. Now, the few times that I've rated you, quite a few times actually, I hear you're in comms with people, so you're teaming up, right? I don't want to say that you're stacking or whatever, because I don't know how many people you have with you, but I would say 3 a few times at least, right?
Yeah.
How does matchmaking feel for you with the stacking percent or whatever, the little, because you get a modifier for stacking, right? How does that feel for you?
It's tough. We definitely don't stack. So if I have people to play with, I kind of play with whoever. We've got people of all different skill levels that we play. Right. So it does feel like sometimes the matchmaking doesn't exactly take that into account, and they focus more on the fact that we're a group of 3 or a group of 4, and we get put up against or into a lobby that I know that some of these people really shouldn't be in. Right. So that is hard. I wouldn't say every game is like that. So I don't want to necessarily say that it's a really, really big problem, but I definitely feel that. And I know that I'm sure it's difficult for people that play solo too, because they get kind of matched into the same, they're on like the kind of reverse end of it. They end up falling into a, group of 3 or 4 that, and that could be really good or really bad depending on who you're with. So
I had that happen to me. I was solo queuing, and like I said, I'm up there. I'm not high up there, but I'm that middle ground. I'm that gold 1, and I queued up, and I got stacked with a group of 4 bronze friends that were together. And I'm playing, but because my number and their modifier, we're going up against a few other golds and some and higher golds. I'm like, okay, I'm doing good in my lane, but everybody else is getting smoked. I'm like, what is happening? Like, how do I compete against that? So I was that solo queue situation I thrown in. I'm like, this isn't fun. And so, but I think that is to do with the modifier. Right, I think that modifier boosted that 4 groups of bronzers up there. Like, and if they didn't get boosted so high, then it would have been especially I think it needs to take. I think their algorithm or their equation that they have for their modifier needs to take certain things into consideration. You know, if you got 4 bronzers playing, okay, they get a smaller percentage modifier boost, right? Like, we're not going to sit there and boost them up into play against platinum. What's the point of that? Like, that's just not fun, right? And it's probably just 4 groups of friends that want to play together, or 4 friends that want to play together. It's not, you know, 4 empties that just want to, you know, let's go smoke some people. So they need to adjust it somehow. But I also think, because we have a little inside information, all of us being partners, that the modifier number is supposed to be only like it's not even a double-digit % number, from what we're being told. So they're looking into it to see if it's something else. If that's literally just a 1-digit number, that's the % modifier, I almost think that it's a bug. There's something else. There's the bug with the modifier is not working it properly. What are your thoughts on that, Medkit?
Like the
stack modifier, and if you think it's working properly, or how if it's affecting you, if it is affecting you.
To be honest, I have no idea.
Okay. So, but I think that's a part of the biggest reasons that you guys aren't seeing Windu here today. Like, Windu hasn't played the game in like 2 weeks, because he is a real big person that plays with viewers a lot. And you get a bunch of viewers that come in and want to play, then you're next thing you know, you're 5 stacked. But because you're 5 stacked with viewers, it's not like you're 5 stacked with your 5, you know, partners that are going to play the PCC event coming up. Like, you're literally just stacked with people you don't even normally play with. You don't have great comms with each other, but you're just sitting there having a good time, coking and joking most of the time. And you got a modifier that's putting you up against grandmasters. It's like, well, okay, here we go. What do we do? You know, and it just makes it not fun. And I think they need to do something, especially when we don't have a rank mode right now. They need to make something to make it more casual. You know, I don't know if maybe the modifier needs to get taken away. I know that was the big deal when we first had stacking and they didn't have a modifier. People were bitching and complaining about going against stacks all the time, but it just makes it the game like not fun for a lot of people. I got people that come into my stream and want to team up with me, and I already got one person with me. I was like, hey, sorry, I don't want to deal with it. Like, I don't want to go against a bunch of sweats because I'm 3 stacked, and all of a sudden now I'm going against a bunch of people that are higher than I'm supposed to be right now. I want to have fun still and still be competitive, but not be sweaty.
That's one of the biggest reasons why I keep making the push or feedback for a casual game mode. Like, the hero master system really help make the game mode fun, but if you pair that with a casual game mode, you're gonna have people playing that casual game mode 24/7. Or rather, there's space for people that if they just want to do a quick 20-minute game, they want to play with buddies, they want to turn their brain off and whatnot. That's what the casual game mode is, right? Like, I don't really play League of Legends, but every time I go jump back on it, it's just to play AWAM with my friends. Like, I don't know what's the meta, I don't know these new heroes, but I don't worry stress about it because I just go play this casual game mode that is AWAM, right? And I feel like a casual game mode sooner rather than later, I think it's gonna be really beneficial to really help sustain the player base, or just keep people just really enjoy the early access a little bit more before the full release, right? Because full release, we expect a casual game mode and all that assistance. I just think getting that casual game mode sometime in early access would be a lot more beneficial.
Wonder if they have the player base for that, like, currently, or if that would split people up too much.
And that's like one of the biggest obstacles, right? But I think in the long run, it's gonna really help the game out. I think initially it's split the player base, but like, I guess the big thing is what kind of gives these games these large player bases is you have people play the game, they're like, oh my god, this game is so much fun, and they go like tell his buddy, hey, let's go group up and play this game together. They'll go buy the game, and then they tell their friends, and their friends tell their friends, and it's like an unending kind of cycle, right? So I feel like if you do a casual game mode that's really fun, it gets people really hooked on the game, they bring their friends. So over time, you'll hopefully see an increase in player base. So in the long run, I think the casual game mode will like be really good for the population, 100%.
All right. So it's a tough one for sure. So we're not quite to our 2-hour mark, but we're coming down towards the end of our stuff. We didn't have a patch this week. We kind of went over all of our stuff. Do any of you have any final things you want to talk about? Joey, do you have any more Reddit things you want to go over? I know we had a couple last time, so I think we might have pushed them off. Do you have any of those you want to touch on right now? If you remember them, I don't quite remember them off the top of my head.
The only one that I sort of mentioned was when the whole Overprime announced their kind of casual game mode, which is like their version of ARAM.
Okay.
So if you want to, we can maybe talk about what could be Pred's version of a casual game mode, if that's something you want to digest, or you want to save it for another time.
Yeah. We already had. I'll tap into that real quick. I'll say that Blood Mortius kind of his personal preference. Again, this is not how Predecessor is going to go, but Blood Mortius was on his personal preference would not be an ARAM for a game mode. So it'd be something a little different than that, I'm guessing. I would be okay with it not being an ARAM, but give me something a little different, a little more added to it. You know, not necessarily a joust. You know, it'd be different. I don't know how. I guess I don't play MOBAs enough to know all the different casual modes, but like something different than an ARAM, I think would be fine. Would be okay with me.
One fun idea I was playing around my head was, I think for a casual game mode, I think doing like a one lane, kind of like you push one lane, 5 people, 3 people, that would be a cool concept. But in my head, what I was thinking was, I don't know if it was the best example. Like think of those classic, like medieval kind of battles where it's like 2 sides battlefields. They're trying to like push into the castle and take out the leader or whatever. Like just like this whole like sieging aspect, right? Just a huge kind of chaos in this one battlefield, right? So I was just sort of playing with the idea of maybe a casual game mode could be sort of like kind of like a siege, or kind of like game modes where it's like you have people in one lane and there's all these different mini objectives or side stuff, and your whole goal is just to grab some kills or grab some resources and trying to make that push to the core. Like I don't know if I explained that as well. I just trying to think what's a really good example, because I feel like there's other games out there that has this like concept done really well, and I think Predecessor can maybe do something similar potentially. I don't know what you guys think.
I would definitely give it a try. I'm all about it. And I literally just thought about this off the top of my head, and so let me know what you guys think. But I don't know how it would be in a third person MOBA, but I loved when I played Warcraft 3, right? You were able to jump in, and that's my first actual true MOBA. I was able to play that top-down MOBA. It was a little U or sideways U thing that you could do, and you had the tower defense and you had the minions. But in that as well, you also had tower defense mode, and you literally would build towers, and minions would basically force the minions around. I wonder, obviously, if there'd be a pre-plant towers, you know, instead of just having our normal 2 towers, but like instead of being a PvP but a PvE, you get like 3 of your friends, and you got to sit there and you know, you stop the minions. And the minion way is almost like a horde mode, and the minions just come on and you just sit there attacking those. Something like that, little fun, like now you don't have to really think too much about it. Something like that maybe would be a little casual mode. Thoughts on that?
That could be fun. I've never really been into like player versus AI type
PvE.
PvE, yeah. I've never really been into it, but some games have done it well, so it definitely could be fun. I think I kind of like I did have one actual game that turned into an ARAM. Just both sides agreed, we're all gonna go mid and we're gonna see what happens. And it was like one of the most fun games I've played. Not saying that they should do an ARAM, but I think I kind of agree with Joe. I think like a one lane, give me like a really interesting terrain. Let's really, really dive into like the verticality aspect that Predecessor offers. And I don't know, maybe some sort of like control, tug of war style thing where you're just trying to, you're trying to gain almost Battlefield-y actually, I guess. Doesn't Battlefield have a handful of game modes where you kind of have to gain the control of all these different points and then your team wins or something? It could be kind of the same thing. You want to control the whole lane and then...
Right.
Do you guys remember a game called For Honor? The one like the...
For Honor, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the normal game mode? It's kind of like this, like, what is that? It's like 3 different factions that fight out. And it's more like, it's just a huge battlefield with many objectives you have to kind of take over to win the game, right? So that's kind of like what I was sort of thinking. I think the concept of this one big battlefield, like imagine 3D MOBA, big battlefield, like a lot of like minions or whatever, like PvE components that combines with like PvP components. So like imagine you're playing this as hero and you have your minions or whatever, like PvE, and you have your own like squad or whatever, and like you make pushes, or like you pretty much become like a total like badass on the field. I guess I'm trying to say, like you're kind of like the big general out in the field. You have total control. The only one that can take you on is another general, which is another enemy hero. So I think the For Honor, how they did it, I think I was sort of thinking along something like that, not exactly copy and paste, but like the whole concept of I'm just wrecking all these PvE opponents and then I'm trying to take over this flag, but then another opponent comes over and challenges me, and then we just duke it out, right?
Okay. And I guess I'm gonna double down on what I said before as well with Blood Mortius when he was on here. I literally want them to reach out to King's Hunt and bring that on as the casual mode. I think that little tower defense, you know, you have your three little what was it, A, B, and C, whatever zones you got to capture as well, and you capture them, and as you capture them, the more points you get, the more you're able to do damage to the team or whatever. I love that. That was a great casual mode. I think that'd be a good PvP exclusive. Did you get to try King's Hunt at all?
No.
Oh, you should definitely. I love how you talk and it goes to Medkit's camera. That was weird. That was very weird. You should look that up and see what you think about that, because I think that something like that was very fun. I enjoyed it, but to me, it wasn't a full game experience. This is like I said it when I was playing it. I'm like, this is like a mini game for a game like Pred or Ethereal, and I think that would be something that would definitely be really fun for the games. So yeah, so Ray, talk with Blood and RGS Ace and Smokey and start working with King's Hunt team and bring them on. It kills two birds with one stone. It makes the team bigger, the dev team bigger, and it also gives you a casual mode to bring into the game.
It's true.
Yes, sir, Kappa.
What happened to King's Hunt again? I don't
So-
remember what happened to it.
So King's Hunt, you had, it was a 5v5.
No, I actually know the
sorry.
gameplay of it. It's just more like what happened to the game.
Oh,
Is it
they
ongoing?
just it's they took it off the market for now, and they're going to work on it. They had some issues that were going on with it, and they want to work on it, but they were losing player base pretty quickly. So instead of just sitting there just losing player base and just having people play, sit there and queue simulator for a long time, they just brought it down and said, hey, we'll be back later. We're going to do some working with a lot of the feedback we got from you guys, and we're going to come back stronger. So
I'll be right back. Just a few minutes.
yep. So why are we killing birds? What do we do?
You said
What?
kill two birds.
Two birds.
Oh, killing two birds with one stone. All right, I missed that. Hey, I appreciate that, Bullet Master. Great job. I missed the dad joke. I feel bad now. I'm usually pretty good with that. I'm like, what did I miss? All right. So yeah, I just think it would be perfect. It literally fits, and plus they were using some Paragon assets too, I believe. So it works out perfect. Like, it literally just kind of brings it in. It'll tie in, and then it also gives you some heroes that you can use. There's their own original heroes that we can bring into it as well. It literally is a complete benefit for one of these para-zombies, or even Ethereal. I told Ethereal they should do it as well, so I'm hoping one of the teams pick it up. But yeah, I think that's our biggest point with that.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Good timing.
Yeah, I had to feed my cat real quick. She was like screaming at me out the door.
All right. There was one point after talking to Joey that I thought of, and I can't remember what it was when I was talking to Joey about bringing the Reddit post up. Oh, that's something I read. It wasn't Reddit, but it was in the feedback. All right. But in Reddit, I've been seeing a lot of people, and plus we had a Zygor's video talk about how the map needs to be bigger. There was a feedback post that got a couple likes, whatever. I can't remember how many exactly. And it was saying that because rotating on the map is not beneficial, they want boots in the map. They want boots in the game. They want to bring boots on as an item so you can rotate faster. Now, that's very obviously conflicting. Where do you guys stand? Do you guys think we need a bigger map? Do you guys think we need a smaller map? Do you think we need boots to help with the speed as an item?
Bigger map, sure.
All right. Exclusive, what do you think?
I think a bigger map would help. I mean, maybe with a bigger map, you would need boots potentially. I haven't, you'd have to see how it feels, but I think there's very little punishment right now for rotating and being out of lane and missing minions, especially early. And I think a lot of that's just because the map's too small. So yeah, I could see a bigger map would probably be helpful.
Yes, I agree. Joey, I'm assuming you're on the bigger map side, right? Okay.
Yeah, big map side, but also just a map rework at some point.
Yes, map rework. I know this guy that posted, this person that posted that, it's definitely on the map rework, because they definitely think the jungle needs to be completely changed. But I don't think that we need boots right now, because we said earlier in this episode that when rotating, you're not punished when you rotate, right? You can rotate and get back, and it's still being you have no issues of rotating from mid going solo lane, so it doesn't hurt you. A bigger map will now make you like, it's all right, hold up, do I rotate now, or do I have to push, do I have to do something different before I rotate, or when can I rotate? And so that you kind of gives a little more to it. I think right now it's too easy to do that. And putting boots on makes it even easier. You literally just zoom around the map and just kind of, all right, don't worry, I'll hold all lanes for you guys. Let me clear this wave, let me go this wave, and this wave, and then just run back through, I don't think boots is the way to go. But all right, that is getting us to our 2-hour mark. So let's get our outros here. Everybody else besides Medkit, tell us what you want to the community, the devs, what's going on. Medkit, you tell us about your mastery system that you want, and then we'll go on. So let's go with exclusive. Give your outro, where people can find you, what you got going on, how often you stream on Twitch, and all that stuff, blah blah blah, and give yourself the biggest shout out, the biggest pat on the back you can, and then Medkit, and then Joey, then myself.
All right. Well, I am live on Twitch 6 days a week. I'm only off on Sundays. I occupy a lot of the really late night, early morning hours. So for anybody that works nights or, night owls or whatever, I'm usually live from like 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. on most days, Eastern time. Love Predecessor. I have no plans to stop streaming it anytime soon. And definitely stop by the stream and come hang out.
All right. And hey, and thanks for coming by. Thanks for hanging out. It was great having you here. So can't wait to have you on again sometime. That good?
All right. So, hey guys. My name is Medkit. I make mostly Pred shorts, and a few days ago, or was it yesterday? I don't remember. Finally made a long form video. Made a video about Greystone. So if you guys can check it out, it's pretty well paced, I think. Paced, like the pacing. Anyways, check it out.
Not the glue.
It has the link somewhere. I would greatly appreciate any feedback on it, because I haven't made a long form video in months. And I do plan on making more like quality videos for you guys like that. I just need to get my ducks in a row. And I do apologize how I sound in that video. I never mentioned this at all, but I'm sick. I have a fever right now. And I have a nasal congestion. But I'm still trying to like bust out content. So
you got a fever and the only cure is more Pred?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I have to just keep on keeping on with Pred.
There you go.
And that's about it.
You guys don't get that reference, I'm sorry. All right, Joey.
It's just Joe Shirley. I do daily Predecessor content over on YouTube. I just do a lot of like commentary videos. We just have fun with it, and I do also a lot of build guides. So like I'll have this kind of fun build and I'll show it in action. So tomorrow I have kind of a really interesting Kalari offlane build that it actually works very, very well. So look forward to that. But other than that, I'm sorry,
you said what?
A Kalari offlane video tomorrow.
All right, editor, edit that part out. We don't need anybody knowing how to play Kalari. All right, we don't want that.
You don't have to worry about Kalari. You just like Gluck, and Gluck just shuts it down really hard. You don't have to worry.
I cannot stand her, dude. Oh my gosh. All right. All right. All right. Well, I am the Bearded Wolverine. I am horrible at making YouTube content because I just my editing is not. I'm just not doing it. All right, I'm lazy when it comes to it. I get home and I don't want to do it. So I stream live here on Twitch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Around those times. Tuesday, Thursday is my daughter's softball game, so I'm later to those ones. But I love playing the game. I've been constantly playing it. I've only stepped away one time to play another game because how the game was feeling, but they fixed that real quick and brought me back. So still playing Pred pretty constantly, and hope to see you all here. But again, until next week we got Lil Sassafras is going to be our guest on. So come hang out and see what she has to say about the game. And we'll go from there. And I already talked to Ray, said I need to shoot up Julie, so maybe we can get Julie, one of the devs here, to come on the show as well. So we'll work on that as well. But I hope you all have a good one. And until next time, peace.
Peace.
Peace.